Hey everyone, welcome back to the One to One mini podcast project. I'm Anthony Cruz, and today is Monday, February 13th, 2017. Um, I was checking out the headlines today, and we're gonna talk a little bit about sports. So I was checking out the headlines, and the New York Giants decided to cut Victor Cruz and Rashad Jennings. Well, not cut them, but release them um, from there. I don't know how many of you feel about that, but I kind of still feeling these two and hating to see Victor go with 2 years left on his contract, I believe it is. Um, yeah, call it bias because I'm a Cruz and he's a Cruz, but him and Jennings alike. I mean, it's kind of I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. I don't want them to go, at least not yet. I think they still got some good stuff, and they're from what the news reports are saying is basically just due to a salary cap issue. Um, I don't know what it is about New York teams, and I really can't say anything about because I'm a diehard New York fan. I like the Knicks. I like the Islanders. I like the Giants. I like the Yankees. Um, Faults and all, faults and all, and whether they lose or win, those are my teams. Um, and if they don't win, then the B teams can get it. Mets, Nets, Jets, Islanders. Then if they can't, if my main teams don't do it, then they can step in. But I'm a diehard New York fan, and I noticed with the main teams, my teams, for the most part, with the exception of maybe the Rangers, like Yankees and the Knicks and the Giants really go out of their way to pay a lot of money for people who either are on their way out or just prone to injuries. They spend a lot of money on certain individuals, and and then to let go of people who can still bring in points and still bring in touchdowns and still bring in baskets. They kind of let them go either a little too early or just to waste them. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just having a conversation about the Knicks and how, like in the Pat Riley days, Ewing and Stark and Charles Oakley and all that, like there was a team that everybody played. Like the Knicks were ran in a way where everybody got to play, and they didn't tire out their main guys. They didn't run them into the ground. Ever since then, like I don't know, it seems like the Knicks have a sort of a repeated pattern of getting somebody good or decent and just running them into the ground, man. Just killing them on the court. No downtime, no rest. And then they either get injured or they get washed up, way too quickly. So yeah, I mean when we had Mason, with Mason and Stoudemire and yeah, man, I like when they first came in, there was like a twinkle in our eyes. It was like, oh, a twinkle in their eyes when they first stepped in. And by the time they left, it looked like they aged like 30 fucking years. Yeah, so the whole thing. I'm catching up to the whole James Dolan and Charles Oakley thing. Like I knew stuff was going around. I knew stuff was happening, but you kind of just check on. You're like, I don't want to fucking deal with it. Like I said last week about getting too old for shit. But I felt the need to catch up on that and read about what happened, and that's pretty fucking crazy because here it is a guy who played his heart out for the Knicks for 10 years um, and really was just killing it and still shows up to the games, support the team and for him to get done in like that. I mean, Whether or not he's got an attitude problem or the thing is, like, do we think it's kind of a coincidence that he happened to be sitting so close to James Dolan, and then security just happens to kind of come and try to escort him out? And then, it's humiliating. You're a celebrity. You're ex-Nick. You're a legend, and then you got some dude in a suit telling you gotta leave. That's a hard pill to swallow. So sorry, I got interrupted. And then when you get interrupted, you don't remember what the fuck was the last thing you said. So yeah. So it's kind of a hard pill to swallow when you get escorted out like that, especially when you've been an integral part of the Knicks organization, and just a diehard fan where you're there, all the games or most of the games, and it got to a point where this man was buying his own tickets. Like, a lot of times, Nick alumni, basically, you could say, wouldn't have to pay for a seat. They play for the team. They can come see them whenever they want it. But it got to a point that I guess the feud between him and Dolan got so intense that they started banning him from the free tickets. So you buy his own tickets. So now you're buying your own tickets, and then you're showing up to games, and now you're getting escorted out. Now you're getting banned from there. I think it's a real bad break, man. It's really messed up. And I mean, and then the aftermath. Everybody's pissed off, or mostly the fans. And then the media tries to make it by official word of, I guess, I don't know, the PR team over at Knicks to save face, like, oh, he needs help and things like that. It's really, really messed up. One of the things I saw, and this in the past, I don't know, a couple of days or so, when somebody tries really hard to look like the good guy, that's what James Dolan is coming off like. That's what it looks like. Here it is. He's bringing, other former Knicks players and other players to sit with him, especially one that he had issues with before, to sit with him. And it doesn't come off like oh, you're the good guy. It kind of comes off like you're the asshole trying to look like the good guy, and seeing that, I mean, that's kind of shitty. I mean, it just turned me off to him more than that. And as much as I'm a fan of the team, seeing stuff like that really just turns me off to the whole thing. Yeah, so that's what's happening with that. That was kind of crazy. Yeah, between that and the Giants releasing Cruz and Jennings, I mean, hell, the hell, who they gonna get? Who they gonna get to replace these dudes? It better be worth it, man. It better be worth it. They cry about money, but then will pay an insane amount of money. Yankees are notorious for that shit. They'll go and spend an insane amount of money on a player who will probably be good for a season at best, but give them like a 5-year contract, 6-season contract, whatever. And by the second or third one, their numbers go down. I mean, it's natural as you get older. I mean, yeah, of course, you're not going to hit it up like the way you used to in any sport. That's the one thing you can't beat is time. And very few exceptions to the rule that they just seem to get better with age. But for the most part, most of them don't perform as well as they did in their rookie years or early in their contracts. But I mean, the amount of money they pay. They can get like maybe for that one superstar that they're trying to land, they could probably get maybe 2, maybe 3 really good players. Players that probably mesh really well together, whether it be on the field or the court. And yeah, man, that's the one thing I have to say about my New York teams. Other than they be having some pretty jacked up seasons, that they that when it comes down to rosters, like they will like. They're just so bad with money. They're just really bad with money. But and then jack up our prices to go see them, so they can cover that spread. So that's what's happening with that. This past weekend was actually a pretty good weekend. I mean, personally, I mean, like nothing major went on, like as far as like things that everybody will know about. Just I had a pretty decent fucking weekend. Caught up on some movies. What was it? Caught up on some movies. I recorded a podcast. Started the second season of the Creators Corner speed painting stuff. I'm really excited about this because I'm taking a different approach. So it's not going to be like the way it was with the first one. And I'm really looking forward to that. But then I did some light drinking on Saturday. Let me tell you something. If you're gonna have the predisposition to like get drunk, like if you had planned to get drunk, on the outset of maybe going out afterwards, so that you don't spend as much when you're outside, you get tore up at home, but then you don't go out, so you just continue to drink at home, and with company, because when you drink by yourself, that's just sad. But when you have company and you drink a lot, and then you throw on something funny, like funny music videos, I don't think you can have a better night than that. I mean, like, and then be surprised about how much of the lyrics you actually know. You start singing when you normally wouldn't sing. Liquid Courage. That's the reason why they call it Liquid Courage. But all intents and purposes, it was pretty freaking good. And then, I had the foresight to know that if I'm going to have that much, have some bread, have some water, and waking up in the morning, I felt relatively okay. Enough to even get up early enough to go catch another matinee. And I caught that John Wick 2. Man, when I tell you that fucking movie's fucking badass, man. It's badass. People can say what they want. I think it surpasses the first one. You get a much more richer story. You see more of the things you liked in part one. You get to see more of the stuff you wish you would have known more from part one. And yeah, it just kicks ass. Like, I was astounded in the level of memory in just all the choreographed scenes. Like, they fight, and you wonder how is it they remember all those intricate moves. I mean, I know they practice for months, but holy crap! Like, just one scene, I would have got lost by the third move. Like, I know repetition is like key to perfection, but damn, holy crap! I mean, they did a hell of a job. In a way, almost where it becomes like cartoonish, but in a good way, not in a bad way, because it's like your belief becomes disbelief when you see that level of technique, because no real fight looks like that. I mean, none. And if they did, if you can get into a real fight that looks like that, that means your skill and the person that you're fighting skill is so beyond anyone else on roaming this face of the earth that, like, the amount of bodies this fucking dude leaves in his wake, like, it's amazing that there's not like news reports of mass genocide. and all of them with a hole in their head. Like part 1, he just leaves holes in people's heads. He has the most accurate headshot. Like, computers wish they were that accurate with headshots. So yeah, no, it kicks major ass. I mean, the characters are fun. There was just one character in there. She's like a I guess like an assassin or like a head of a security type person, and she's pretty badass. But she's a mute, so she communicates everything through sign language. And I just thought that was just a really, it wasn't necessary or detrimental to any plot device or anything like that. It was just something really cool, like a little quirk of that would make that character original. And you see that little things like that, between all the characters in the movie. Everybody has their thing that makes them them. Common did a hell of a job going toe to toe with Keanu Reeves in this movie. If anybody who's a rival in that movie, it would be Common. Who is it? The bad guy, the main antagonist of the movie. It's debatable about who that person is, but you get to meet him very early on, and he does a very good job of giving John Wick a reason to start stacking up bodies again. One thing that you hear in the reviews going around is that it's not as defined or as clear as to of him having a motivation to get out of retirement and start killing again. I call BS on that. It's very clearly defined in this movie. He wants to stay retired. He was done. By the beginning of this movie, he's done with the events of the last movie. And that's just to be a little bit cryptic, but you'll get what I mean once you see it. And then, he's done. He doesn't want or need to do anything anymore. He wants to just chill. But this guy comes along and says, look, you made a blood oath to, that I can cash in on at any time. I want you to do a job for me, and you can't say no. And he signed a blood oath. They have this really cool thing. You put your thumbprint with some blood on it, and if the guy comes to collect, you got to do it. Doesn't matter where you are or whatever. And John makes a mistake of saying no. And the guy, to teach him a lesson, blows up his fucking house. And blows the very last connection he has to his wife. I mean, you can say the house, but no, the photos that he had of his wife. And those are gone. So I don't know why the reviews gloss over that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it seemed like they glossed over that detail. Like, yes, they did that and he was forced to do the job. But once the job was over, it's open season. So yeah, and then you get to see the intrigue of that assassin's world or whatever. Really, really cool stuff. So I implore anyone to go see that. The hell else is going on? I'm saying a lot of fucking ums because I'm grasping at topics. I talked about the sports thing very, very briefly, and I thought I was going to take the whole 20 minutes, but fuck, I was able to find other shit to talk about. There it is again. But yeah, I mean that's the gist of it. Had a pretty good weekend. Got drunk, got fucked up, saw a couple of movies, ate some good food. Caught up on this news stuff with the Knicks, the Oakley Dolan fiasco. Just caught wind of the Victor and Jenny release from the Giants, And that's pretty much fucking it. I mean, that's the beauty thing about these mini podcast projects. I mean, you don't have to like have a treasure trove worth of things to talk about. You could just kind of just go in and talk about what's happening currently. Sometimes it's gonna be funny. Sometimes it's not gonna be funny. But just a quick update. And I'll be back in another day or so with another one, and then another one, and then another one. So, yeah, I mean, that's it for now. So, I thank y'all for listening in, and I'll catch you next time on 101. All right? Good night.